A beautiful day in Portland, Oregon, as Portland Timbers 2 begins their second home campaign here at Merlo Field on the campus of the University of Portland. Good evening, I'm Jake Sivan alongside Ross Smith as Portland Timbers 2 makes its 2016 home debut. Already one match into the season, T2 lost last week at Swope Park Rangers, sporting Kansas City's new USL side, 2-1 out in Kansas City. Ross, but this T2 team showed in that match, I think, what we expected to see from them this year. Changes to the roster with an emphasis on getting young. There's a lot of promising talent on T2 in 2016.
And a lot of promise with the new head coach that they brought in, Andrew Greger. And when you have a new manager come in, you're going to expect changes. And such as the Portland Timbers brand, that they want the best. And so they're really excited with the youngsters that they have in. They feel the potential in that lineup. Well, there's no ceiling to it. And so a lot of excitement with the new coach, Andrew Greger, with the talent that's going to be on display tonight.
The opponent tonight, Vancouver Whitecaps FC2. They won their opening match last week at OC Blues. A more similar group, Whitecaps FC2 this year to last year's side. Well, the starting lineups from both teams after the national anthems from Canada and the United States.
Who will honor us with her rendition of the Star Spangled Banner.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we'd watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Couldn't ask for a better evening for T2's 2016 home debut. 70 degrees, sunny, a gorgeous night, and a beautiful place for the game of soccer. The starting 11 for Portland Timbers 2 tonight, Ross, a mixture of Portland Timbers first teamers, players signed to T2, and even an academy player Marco Farfan making the start.
Yeah, and Andrew Gregor, he'll set out a team that'll be very similar to the first team in terms of formation, a 4-3-3, and he talked about youngsters in the team. Want to pay attention to Dan Rui, a Belgian player that has come across. He's only 18. He's not hard to miss. He's got his hair that falls 2 yards either side of his body. He is a special young talent. I like at the back, I thought in the first opening game, Wade Hamilton, he was spectacular. He's a solid keeper. He commands. He'll be non-stop. He'll be relentless. And, of course, Chris Clute in there to get some fitness, some minutes after coming off his injury, looking to get back into the first team to hopefully get back in terms of Caleb Porter, his decisions for first-team games, hopefully soon.
T2 is coached by Andrew Gregor this season. His first year in charge of Portland Timbers 2, was an assistant last year. Played his college ball on this pitch for the University of Portland. The starting 11 for Whitecaps FC2, Ross. Whitecaps FC2 has 10 players on their roster that came up through Vancouver's residency program, and you see that reflected in the starting 11.
Yeah, we're expecting to see a 4-2-3-1 tonight. A couple players I think are standout. Kaden Chung, he a fullback for Whitecaps 2. He played for Canada against England a few weeks ago, scored a goal, a lot of promise to this youngster. And also Alfonso Davies. We've got a quick look at him in the simple invitational when Vancouver came in. A youngster, only 15 years old, but a lot of promise. Again, Carl Robinson, he likes to reward young talent, hard-working players. And I think there's a belief in this side here. If you perform at this level, you're going to get your chance.
Alfonso Davies, the youngest player in USL at 15 years old, making his USL debut tonight. Ekaterina Koroleva is the referee tonight as we get ready to open the 2016 home season for Portland Timbers 2. T2 here at Merlot Field for the second straight year. T2 0-1-0, losing last week at Swope Park Rangers. Whitecaps FC2 1-0-0. 3 points after beating the defending Western Conference champions OC Blues on the road to start the season. These two teams met 4 times last season, and goals were scored, an average of 4.5 total goals per match in those 4 matches. They were all shootouts. We certainly hope for similar tonight at Merlot Field as we begin T2's home slate here at the University of Portland. We are underway. Portland Timbers 2 and Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2. Anthony Manning sends it forward. Villian Bijev was checking back towards the ball. It'll run to Spencer Ritchie, the goalkeeper for Whitecaps FC2. Didn't start last week. Sean Melvin got the start and the clean sheet against Orange County Blues. Ritchie getting the start tonight. High pressure from Andre Lewis, formerly in the Whitecaps organization, forces a turnover. T2 with a throw in their attacking half.
There's been emphasis put on T2 this week, the forward passing, to be positive with their play. Can they get the ball into the midfield, and then those quick actions, those quick movements, to be able to look up and find those penetrating passes. The speed of play will be key for tonight, as Vancouver Whitecaps, if they did their scouting, they would have seen Swope Park the way they sat in, but then the moment there was a bad touch, they pressed. They'll get onto it. So the quality on the ball for T2 has to be better tonight.
Big run forward now from Kaden Chung. Ball sent across the face of goal and headed wide by Kyle Gregg.
Well, you see right away, Chung, he's willing to step in. He's brave on the ball. He's willing to dribble out of the back. And he starts the attack going. And Gregg trying to get on the score sheet as he did in the Whitecaps last match. He's one that'll put himself around that box, looking to prey on any opportunity coming his way.
A lot of excitement, not only in Vancouver, but in the whole country of Canada, I think, for Kaden Chung. 17-year-old, member of the Canadian youth national teams. Scored a goal for the Canada U20s last week in a 2-1 win over England. This is Alfonso Davies, the 15-year-old, looking Into the box for Will Seymour. Seymour cuts it back, trying to find Davies. It's sent clear by Clutie. Great touch from Damraoui, and he slides through looking for Bijev, but didn't quite get it right. It's handled by Vancouver.
It was a decent hold-up play by Bijev. Ball into him. That's going to be important. Those clearances to make sure it has purpose and that he's putting himself across that back line of the Whitecaps to make sure he gets his hold-up play and brings his teammates into it, as he did with them. Rui there, the way he just got on the ball. Nice little flick for Damraoui.
Andre Lewis stepping around some of his former teammates, tried to switch it to Nico Brett. It was deflected. DeVitt over the top looking for Davies. Hamilton way off his line, took a bad touch. Vancouver can't take advantage. Greg put it just wide. A mistake in the back from Wade Hamilton, and T2 lucky, Ross, that this match is still scoreless.
Well, he's been let off the hook, Hamilton. Mentioned him in the opening. He had a fantastic match. I thought he was MOM for T2 in their first match, but there early on, whether a bit of nerves, should have dealt with it right away, got away with one.
Vancouver again coming forward. Davies looking into the box. Gallagher gets it wide. Looked like that ball maybe skipped a bit faster than Hamilton was expecting. Had to play it with his chest and ended up putting it on a platter for Greg.
Well, the surface will be slick. The grounds crew got out the sprinklers. The sprinklers coming up from the ground to water just before the players come out for the warm-ups. So there is going to be a bit of zip on the ball.
Oh, Greg, great ball. Hamilton, the big save. And the follow-up is sent wide by T2. Corner kick coming for Vancouver. Daniel Haber denied by Hamilton.
Doesn't he make up for it right away? It's a good layoff as it puts Haber into space, and what a strong reaction and a strong hand by Hamilton to get down so quick, so difficult for a keeper to keep that ball out.
He showed an ability, Hamilton did, to make those reaction saves last week. Corner kick sent into the box. On net again, Hamilton with his right hand keeping it out. Another corner kick coming, but Wade Hamilton has been busy the first 5 minutes, Ross.
Beasler's having a word with his teammates, saying the markings have to be better. It's a free header, you have to say, from a couple of yards out. But Hamilton again showing his reactions.
Chung will take the corner kick, again sent into the box. Beasler's header was not cleared, still not out of danger. Seymour on the byline. Tries to get around Manning. It was defended well by T2. They can try to break. Marco Farfan, a junior in high school, an academy member, was looking for Ben Polk. Handled by Vancouver. Now Davies blows past Nico, or rather Andre Lewis. Still Davies. To the feet of Greg. Seymour.
Just a little bit all over the place for Timbers 2 to start the match. Organization-wise in open play and the set pieces, corner kicks coming in. It's an opportunity now when the ball goes out of play to look around, take a breath and say, right, what man do you have? You've got your numbers. Andrew Gregor would have given those before coming out. That is your man. Make sure he doesn't get a free header.
Nick Beasler trying to come forward. He scored T2's lone goal last week. Nico Brett will put Brett Levi's under some pressure, and Levi's just has to send it into the crowd.
Just see Coach Gregor having a go at a couple of players. Fist into hand means from the manager, get stuck in, get tight, sharpen up. He won't be happy with the opportunities T2 have given away early on.
Chris Clutie sending Nico Brett behind. First chance for T2 of the match. Cut back. Bijev's shot was blocked.
Was a good ball in behind by Clutie. Sees the run by Brett as he gets in and he picks up his man. But how about this block? Bajrovic just gets in. And Bijev can't believe his luck as he runs into the big center back of Whitecaps FC too.
Sem DeVitt had to get a foot in there. He did. You see Chris Clutie, member of the Timbers first team, getting the start tonight for T2 as he comes back from an injury. Corner kick sent in towards Clutie. Davies flicks it on. Clutie runs it down. Davies gets it back. 15-year-old Alfonso Davies, 18-year-old Dylan Damraoui wins the challenge, and it's a T2 throw. Chris Clutie returning from off-season knee surgery, trying to get to full fitness so he can be available for Caleb Porter on the first team. Throws it into the box. Bijev lays it off. Lewis trying to play it into a dangerous area, sent clear by Vancouver. Farfan heads forward. Bijev, Polk, broken up by Vancouver. Better from T2, Ross, these past couple minutes after I think what could be described as a shaky start.
Well, they're playing in the Whitecaps half, which is, of course, what you want after the spell of pressure they've been under now to get the ball up into the attacking half. Start to get touches, runs coming in and out. Not necessarily having to make that killer pass right away, but to build that confidence early on. You got to remember the young players, as you mentioned, they'll need a little bit of time to settle in.
Bijev to Brett, the flag is up, he's offside. But again, better as T2 tries to probe WFC2's back line.
Well, Brett, he's just trying to get in behind Levi's, and he tries to hold his run, but at the last second he's got to go. And he's carried himself off. He just needed that ball a little bit earlier from Bijev, but that's a few signs. The warning signs are there from Brett that he's looking to come inside, and that ball slipped in between the fullback and center back.
Sem DeVitt looking forward for Alfonso Davies. Michael Gallagher making his first start for T2 at Merlot Field at home. Started last week as well against Swope Park Rangers.
Just little things in that instance. There was only one thing T2 were going to be able to do with the ball. And I'm looking at Bijev, and he didn't run until that ball was played. He reacted. Instead of reading where the ball was going to be playing, you see a big target man, you got to get in those channels. Clutie's putting the ball, he's got no other options. You got to get across and try and get something out with possession.
Chris Clutie wearing the captain's armband tonight for T2. Most experienced player on the pitch by far for Portland Timbers 2. Alfonso Davies running at Chris Clutie. Cuts it back, great chance for Vancouver. Sent over the bar, it took a deflection off Marco Farfan. Another corner kick coming for Vancouver.
It was a good block in the end by Farfan, but just look at Clutie's movement. Right away he's going backwards, the back heels where Alfonso Davies gets the ball and where he ends up. It's so deep in that end. And that's a sign of the right back for the T2 tonight. Clutie coming back from injury, that fitness, that confidence to be able to confront earlier. You can't allow the attacker to drift so far into the box because then that causes problems.
Clutie playing his first official match since that offseason meniscus surgery. Beasler, a defensive header, deals with the corner. Clutie played in a couple preseason matches for T2. This is the first time seeing the field in an official game. Of course, signed by the Timbers this offseason, Ross, with it being the plan for him to essentially be the Jorge Villafana replacement, the left back for the Portland Timbers, but has been dealing with his injury, coming back from it, and hasn't been available yet for Caleb Porter. Hasn't even been a possibility for him to be selected.
Yeah, and problems for Caleb Porter in that specific position has been compounded with Liam Ridgewell getting his injury, and Caleb Porter having to figure that out. That position, which was the only spot he just felt was up for grabs come the start of the season. So you expect Cloutier when he comes back. Jack Barnaby, new signing for the Timbers, whether he'll be considered at that position. Liam Ridgewell when he comes back. So the options are there. You just got to get guys fit.
Yeah, seeing Cloutier on the field tonight, certainly a good sign, something that Caleb Porter, everybody in the organization is going to enjoy seeing because, as you said, just gives those options that maybe weren't there.
What a ball that was by DeVitt.
Just out of the reach of Levi's. Brett Levi's is an attacking player by design. Was started in the attack last week, but was moved to left back in the preseason for the Whitecaps first team. Drew some rave reviews from Carl Robinson for his work down in Tucson in the early part of Vancouver Whitecaps MLS preseason. And after starting in the attack last week for WFC2, is at left back today.
Demraoui there, his pass not quite linking up with Bijev. I think Bijev could have been a little bit sharp on his feet. But Demraoui, you like to see that from the youngster. Just get your foot on the ball, willing to break a line by carrying that ball across and dribbling.
Just 18 years old, a Belgian youth international. Came from Club Bruges in Belgium, one of the biggest clubs in that country. Levi's from distance is well off. And that's part of what we mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast, Ross. T2 wanting to get younger. Demraoui maybe typifies that more than anyone, along with a couple other guys. 18 years old, a youth international, and a guy really, if he can develop, future could be bright and maybe beyond Portland Timbers too.
And I think you've got the right coach to help along with that development. Andrew Greger hold every single player accountable. He expects the players to be pinpoint. As you see that ball in there, he expects everything to be precise, and he'll train that into him. But at the same time, he's pragmatic, he's realistic, he's realizing the age of these guys. So he's good at putting the arm around them if it hasn't come off, but he expects that work rate, he expects that effort and that courage to try things.
Here is Demraoui trying to find Nico Brett with his head. He does. This might get through to Bijev, who was cut out by DeVitt. Davies takes a touch forward. Now it's Matthew Baldissimo. Big switch to Caden Chung.
On the other side with the Whitecaps there, certainly look to be encouraged to get on the ball, to have options coming in, but also to keep players wide. Alexa Davies on one side and Haber on the other. Get balls out to them.
Baldissimo, some space in the midfield. Closed down by Andre Lewis.
Yeah, great recovery. It was a good, smart ball by Levi's into Baldissimo, but Lewis, we talked about him before on air, and you asked me, what do I like about Lewis? And I said, his range. I like how he can get around that park, and playing in that central area, he can get the things. If balls are in behind, then he can recover. He's got that injection of pace that if he gets caught onside out of position, he can make up for it.
Lewis was a member of the Whitecaps organization the past 2 seasons, was the 7th overall pick of the 2014 Super Draft. This is a guy with a ton of talent. Never played for the Whitecaps first team, played 14 matches for Whitecaps FC2 last season in the USL. Has now come down I-5 to play for Portland Timbers too. Davies. Greg tries to turn. Beasler comes up limping a little bit after that challenge. Ben Polk will come forward for T2.
That was good from Levi's. Just stepping in and willing to be surrounded by 3 players, but still connect the pass. And it's a strong position for the Whitecaps first team. Jordan Harvey, Adekube, like very, very good left backs, and you would have to say for a youngster, good mentors and styles of players that you would want to mimic.
Brett a touch to Cloutier. Chris Cloutier coming into the box. Still Chris Cloutier, and it's almost an own goal, just wide. As Chris Cloutier on the right side making things happen once again.
Most positive by Cloutier as he drives in the box. He's just waiting to find a runner. And as he's trying to poke it into Bijev, the ball gets knocked off of Baldissimo. Unfortunate for him, that ball sails out wide of the post for a corner kick. That's what you see similar to the first team, with the fullbacks willing to get on, to join into the attack, to give numbers up.
Corner kick sent towards Michael Gallagher. Back across the face of goal and cleared by Vancouver. Chris Clutie has always been an effective player in the attack from the outside back spot. 8 assists in his MLS career. 71 matches played in total. Had a great season in 2013 in Colorado. 7 assists. Was the Rapids Defensive Player of the Year that year.
I really like Chris Clutie at Colorado. I know he didn't get his run out as he would have liked at Columbus Crew, and I think if he can get himself back fit, healthy, his confidence up, I think potentially it's a very strong signing.
Can play both right and left back, as we're seeing tonight on the right side. Left back being occupied by Marco Farfan, 17 years old, junior at Centennial High School in Portland, a member of the Timbers Academy, making his 2nd straight start for T2. Brett Levi's running at Clutie. Now cuts inside. Nothing comes from that.
Levi's, he's just drifting into an area, hoping to spring a runner coming in behind to the back four for the Timbers, but that's a good line that the center backs have set to make sure they're on that edge of the 18 and they're holding that when that ball's played. The timing was off with Baldissimo.
Michael Gallagher, one of the starting center backs for T2 tonight and last week as well. 4 seasons at the University of Washington. He's a rookie, signed with T2 out of college after going undrafted. Teammates with Taylor Pay, Andy Toma on the Washington Huskies back line. 3rd straight year the Timbers have picked up a former Husky defender. He gets that clear.
Just a couple errant passes by T2 as they're looking to get across that midfield screen by the Whitecaps. Trying to get players into that pocket between the midfield and the defense of the Whitecaps, but the passes haven't been there, and that was a problem at Swope Park Rangers, where the Timbers just couldn't penetrate that midfield. They couldn't find a way through.
Caden Chung on the right side. Lofted into the box. Baldissimo was running after it. Rather, it was Seymour, but Hamilton came off his line to collect.
That's better from the commanding netminder of T2. He's loud, he's confident, very assured play. And you have to say he's reacted well from his early mistake.
And you called him the man of the match against Swope Park.
Yeah, I thought he was real good.
Made a couple fantastic saves early on in that match. Did so again tonight, as you mentioned, despite that early error that almost cost a goal.
What stands out to me is at training as well, how loud he is. And when he's jumped in with the first team at training, he continues to have that confidence to be vocal and to demand things from defenders. That takes a lot for a youngster.
Bijev trying to find some space, is unable to. Wade Hamilton, just 21 years old, signed to the Timbers first team as the 3rd keeper behind Adam Quaresay and Jake Gleason. A pretty clear-cut hierarchy there. 3rd round pick of the 2016 Super Draft, went 61st overall. Went to Cal Poly for college. Back-to-back Big West goalkeeper of the year the past 2 seasons.
Just in those moments, I'm looking for a central midfield player to come back towards the ball, and Lewis, he's come out to the right-hand side. Demraouy's come out, and Bijev is having to come all the way back into midfield to try and receive the ball. Just think you'd like to get those creators, their foot on the ball in the central area. And again, that comes with the courage, with the confidence of always looking to get on the ball, no matter if things aren't coming your way, if they're not as sharp and you're not playing as well as you'd like. You still have to be brave to go and search out the ball and get on it and get things ticking.
Marco Farfan whistled for the foul, taking out Whitecaps FC2 skipper Kyle Gregg.
As that challenge comes in, it is late.
A lot of space for Seymour to turn. Still Will Seymour was looking for Gregg, and it'll be a Vancouver throw.
I think Gallagher's done very well there because he's seen that there's space, that Seymour has found the pocket. There's been a mismark there, and he stepped out to it quickly. And that decision has to happen right away. Otherwise, the player will turn, start looking to slip passes or hit one from distance. And Gallagher not only popped out, but he stayed with that run.
Farfan takes it away from Caden Chung and will come forward. Damraoui. Lewis can turn with some space, looking for Nico Brett, who couldn't handle it.
Has to do better there. Brett, he's had a couple of good runs inside, but you'd like to see more of him. Player with a big upside with his pace and the fear he can put in to fullbacks.
Second round pick in this year's Super Draft by the Timbers is one of the guys like Wade Hamilton and Ben Polk signed to the first team. Started last week for T2, was on the bench for the Timbers for the first two matches of the MLS season, did not get into the match. Oh, Damraoui gets around Seymour, cuts inside. Dylan Damraoui over the bar. Nice effort from the youngster.
Well, how's that for a little taste of what that youngster can offer up on the attacking end? His first touch is so nice here. Just as he rolls it across his body, and Seymour is completely sold. And from there, he's just thinking, how can I work myself into an area to get a strike on goal? It doesn't come off in terms of getting on target, but that shows life in the attack as he makes something out of nothing. And that can give so much confidence for a young. You want to build off that. So right there, as you're recovering for this goal kick, you're thinking, right, that was good. Let's go again. Let's get another action like that in the next 5 minutes.
Clutie down the line. Bijev cuts it back for Nico Brett. Has runners in the box. Looks for Polk on the far side. Couldn't connect. Davies. Levi's. That's a giveaway. Ben Polk for T2. Michael Gallagher steps forward. Bijev wanted it at his feet, and it was lofted past Villian Bijev. And in Vancouver, similar bit of miscommunication as it sails over the head of Kyle Gregg.
Well, he's done well, Gallagher, in terms of the defending side of things, but connecting passes needs to do better. If the Timbers are going to build some possession and build through the thirds from his end, that entry pass into the striker, it has to be right. And there, it was well missed as Bijev shows his frustration that he needs that ball to feet if he's coming back to it.
Now Bijev has it, and Ben Polk not really making that run forward.
To say, but I'd like to see a bit more of Ben Polk. I think he's got a nice left foot. He's learning that position out on the left-hand side, so it's different from him. But still, I think he can be tricky. He's got a nice left foot. He can whip in a good ball, but you need to see more.
He was a striker in college for Syracuse, now playing on the wing for T2. Davies comes forward. Lewis, clean tackle to take it away, but then Gallagher gives it right back to WFC2. Damraoui gets bowled over in the midfield by Kyle Gregg. 8 years separating the two and quite a few pounds as well.
It was a harsh challenge, I think. Both players just trying to go in for that ball. The youngster getting a feel for the North American side of challenges that he could be falling under. But going back to Lewis and what he offers up, the way he tracked back and he led the Whitecaps player into Gallagher for Gallagher to then step in. It was a good read by the two players. You just hold your position as a center back and you trust that your midfield is going to make that recovery run and lead them into you. And when that happened, Gallagher, he stepped up with a good, strong challenge.
Vancouver coming forward. Haber out wide. Too much on the cross. Get into the game through the USL's social media channels. Follow the USL on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for news, live game updates, and video highlights from across the league. Gallagher now connects with the feet of Bijev, but he gives it right back to Will Seymour.
Bijev finally got the pass he was looking for. It was sloppy from him, his hold-up play, but there wasn't many runners coming off him. I'm looking at Lewis, who made his run late. As soon as that ball is going to come in and leaves the foot of Gallagher, Lewis should be reading where the spaces are opening up.
Thomas Gardner has Haber in the box. Daniel Haber, easy for Hamilton. Cole Seiler lofts it forward for Gardner. Gallagher rises up to win it. Oh, great skill from Chris Clutie to keep it away from two Vancouver defenders.
Yeah, nice touch by Clutie, the composure to pull that off and then to find that pass. But again, it doesn't build to anything. It seems as though a pass is either 2 yards too heavy, 2 yards behind. Just missing their marks without getting the free flow of any sort of style or rhythm for the Timbers as they look to build. On the Whitecaps end, they look to be happy with the center backs, forcing them to be the players to have to connect the passes. As soon as it's coming to the fullbacks, that's where they're getting a player tight. But when it's popped back to the center backs, they're happy with that.
Ben Polk dragged down. T2 will have a restart. They keep it on the ground. Andre Lewis.
Just a few times now that the ball's drifted to the left side, you see Beasley, he's hanging out. He's in a good position that the Timbers can get that ball out to him, switch a play, get it out to Nico Brett. And there, T2 just trying that far fan. He underhits the pass, but the idea was there.
Ben Polk running at Caden Chung. Polk gets behind him. Chance for a cross, looking for Bijev. Seiler heads it clear.
That's better from Polk. Got his head down, just had one thing in mind, to go at the right back for the Whitecaps and get a cross in.
Nico Brett tried to get it back to Clutie. Davies won it for Vancouver and is able to get it to Kyle Gregg. Gardner turns, says to wait for some runners. Haber.
That's good recovery by T2. The way they got men back, got their shape as quick as possible, and made sure that they saw out any threat from the Whitecaps coming forward. It all started with the communication between the center backs. as Gallagher went into the hole.
Haber turns, shot blocked by Manning.
Manning stayed with his man, and in that situation, again, coming off his line into that pocket to make sure a strike from 25 yards isn't coming in.
Levi's looking for Greg. Knocked down. Booted clear.
Since the match has lost a little bit of its life that it had to start, but things that have calmed down, and there's a little bit of tired legs, of empty lungs with both teams into their second match of the season. It's going to take a bit before they're 90 minutes fit, all these players.
Brett Levi's coming forward. Manning, a touch back to Hamilton. He sends it clear and into the stands.
And the little things. Those will be little points that Andrew Gregory will pick out. Hamilton, ball back to him. He's got to be hitting the striker. He's got to keep that ball in play.
Manning to Bijev. Controlled by Vancouver. Seymour. Fouled by William Bijev.
Bijev, he's coming so far back for that ball. So if he's going to do that, he needs options coming off the front of him. Otherwise, if he's got a defender at his back, the ball's only going to end up back with the center backs. Just think he's got to stay big. He's got to stay high and push that back line back away to stretch things up for the midfield.
Alphonso Davies from distance tested Wade Hamilton, who was sure-handed.
Good solid strike by Davies. Looks a big figure from here for the youngster.
Yeah, just 15 years old, but
good size, isn't he?
Doesn't look it. Ben Polk. Now Damraoui to the feet of Bijev. Back to Dylan Damraoui. Bijev. Lewis thought about it, now takes it, and it's blocked.
Great block by Seiler. He just got his body into a lane, and that's a skill. That is what he's shown there. As the Timbers were just shaping up for that strike, and he's come out and he's got his body positioned in such a way that he was always going to block it, and I think that's well read. He didn't go jumping into the tackle. He waited to see the cards that were going to be shown.
Cole Seiler, first-round pick of the Whitecaps in the Super Draft, signed to the first team. Out of Georgetown, they had quite a back line last year. 3 guys in the first round of the draft. Polk has had some success running at Chung on the left side. As an overlap from Farfan finds him. Farfan sails his cross. Out for a goal kick.
Well, it was so good up until then. Can we talk about Beasler just being that pivot in the middle? Ball comes into him, switch it out, and it was a good ball out to Polk. And just how he drove at the right back, Chung. It was good read by Farfan, and the timing was there. But again, it's that final ball. He has to do better. Has to pick his head up, pick out a man.
DeVitt, now Seymour. Will Seymour, very familiar with this part of the country. Spent 3 seasons with the Timbers under 23s while playing his college ball down the road in Corvallis at Oregon State. Signed mid-season last year to Whitecaps FC2, back for a second season in Vancouver.
T2 have done well to figure out the problems from early. Levi's was getting on the ball. He was coming down the left-hand side. In the last little while, he hasn't had that opportunity. So they've plugged the holes, and then the Whitecaps have had to resort to try and just loft balls in, and that last sequence there, Gallagher, he's going to come in strong in the air. He's got a good leap. He's going to be eating those up.
Dylan Damraoui, easily recognizable from far, far away with what will become, I think, his signature hairstyle. 18 years of age from Belgium. T2 coming forward. Nico Brett headed clear. Damraoui finally did just get his shoe tied and is now coming back into the play.
I was thinking it can either be work in your favor or it can be a disadvantage if you have something that certainly sets you out from other players. And with that hair, I think as a player, right away your notice goes to him. So if you're having a good match, it stands out. And if you're a coach coming scouting in pro ranks, if you're a fan, you're walking away from that game, if you see him for the first time saying, that boy with the hair, he stood out for me tonight. And so you use that, you have that confidence that you have a good game, but it can work against you. If you end up having a stinker or a tough night, that's what you remember. So it's important when you have a standout feature. Of course, I think things accent so much more in terms of your performance and what people remember.
It certainly draws the eye. Dylan Damraoui. Of course, Belgian with that hairstyle will bring comparisons to Fellaini. Long way to go in his career, though, I think, before you can make a comparison like that from a playing standpoint. But he is a player that I think has a lot of people in Portland excited to see why right there.
What's his ability and the grace in which he dribbles with the ball? It's quick. His head is up. He can see options. And just going into the Timbers moving forward, Ben Polk, he's come nearest to our side here on the right side, swapped with Lewis just to see, or Nico Brett rather, just to see if they can have any luck against the opposing fullbacks of Whitecaps.
This is Brett down the left side. Cuts back, Nico Brett into the gut of Spencer Ritchie.
Very positive by Brett. As he gets on the ball, he just drives in the area. He's got Whitecaps bodies around him. And so before he takes it any further, sees a chance to maybe try and get a shot off with a Whitecaps defender, perhaps screening the goalkeeper.
Levi's looking for Greg. Well, after a flurry in the first 5 minutes of chances for Vancouver, where it looked surely like they were going to get a goal, T2, I think, has been the more threatening side.
They've struggled for ideas since then, Whitecaps FC too. Struggling to find ways to break the Timbers down. It was more the T2. They were unraveling in their lack of quality to start the match that Whitecaps were punishing them for.
Farfan again, the left side, T2 attacking the young right back, Caden Chung. Nobody on the end of that cross. Still not out of danger yet.
Very good ball by Farfan. To put that into space in behind and allow Brett just to go running forward. I'm looking at Bijev though, his starting position in terms of reading the game. That's a couple times now he's been late arriving. When that ball's gone wide, he's late arriving into the box. And when he's that sole man up front in the middle, he's got to make sure he's the man between the sticks. In the last couple, he's been chasing the play, he's been catching up, so he has to see it developing early, get himself into the areas where he could possibly have a chance, go get his goals.
Fancy touch from Nico Brett, but it's out for a Vancouver throw. No, it came off. Whitecaps FC 2. T2 will take it.
I think that's a sign and indication that Andrew Gregor would like to see that Brett, he's had a couple nice runs down, so the confidence is there, so you're trying things. And I think a manager like Gregor, he'll allow for that. He wants the players to express themselves in the right areas, of course.
Alfonso Davies turns on the Jets and draws a foul from Dylan Damraoui.
the other end for Whitecaps FC2, I want to see a bit more of Davies. Get him on the ball, get him running, see what he has to offer with running at defenders. Before, you think, Matt, near the start with Clooney, he got his head down and he didn't think twice about going against the MLS player. The experience in Clooney, he just ran right at him and he created something. But since then, one other chance that he's had, it's come off. He got a strike on goal, but then he's faded away.
Haber, Caden Chung, trying to get to the end line. Gets his cross off, looking for Davies on the back post. Clooney played it safe, and it's a corner kick for Vancouver.
It's not a bad ball that's hung up at the back stick. Made it difficult for Wade Hamilton, but Clooney in a good position just to nod that out.
Thomas Gardner will take the corner kick to the back post. Clooney again got his head to it, and another corner coming for Vancouver.
In terms of the organization on these corner kicks, it's sharpened up. Message has been sent after a few missed marks to start the match. Players are getting touch tight.
First corner kick of the match, Vancouver almost scored. Needed a sprawling save from Wade Hamilton to keep it out. High pop fly into the box. It ended up on the foot of Seymour. He couldn't do anything with it.
Just looking in that scenario, the ball comes into Hamilton. There was only one player for T2 looking to release, Brett on the far side, demanding the ball. And if you look at the first team, how they play the counter-attack, how lethal they are with their pace that we've seen. And so I think with Andrew Gregory, he'd be wanting players like Dem Rowie to see those openings, to see if you can release, and you have Whitecaps players committed forward to get them.
Here is Ben Polk, sent into the box, took a deflection. Handled by Vancouver in the end. But to your point, Ross, I mean, that's one of the emphases for T2, and I think for any USL team owned by an MLS parent club, is to emulate the style of the first team. You want to play the same way. We've certainly seen how lethal the counter can be in MLS play for the Timbers. Nice step over from Clooney, and again, can he get a cross off? Instead plays it back to Beasler. Handball on Will Seymour. And T2 will have a free kick in a pretty dangerous spot as we come towards the end of the first half.
Well, that's good from Clooney as he is looking to get on the right. He evades two challenges, and with him, he's equally confident and comfortable with both of his feet. He can play left back, right back. To say it's such a good opportunity here just to hang one up. The tower and Anthony Manning, can you just loft one up for him? The right area just to go, looking to get his head on it.
Manning scored with his head on a set piece against Newcastle United in a friendly last summer. Didn't score in USL play for T2 last year. Is 6'4", big target in the box for Nico Brett. Sent in by Brett. Ritchie has to punch it to safety. Lewis puts it back in with the head, and it's dealt with by Vancouver.
It was a good punch by Ritchie to finish off the half. What could have been a dangerous ball. He saw it well, and he got good contact.
It was a first half that started with a flurry of chances for Vancouver Whitecaps FC2. Two big saves from Wade Hamilton kept it scoreless. The match settled down from there, and we head to halftime at 0-0. When we come back, I'll go one-on-one with T2 head coach Andrew Greger, get to know the new skipper for T2 a little bit better, and find out his plans, his expectations for T2 this summer. We'll be back at halftime. Portland 0, Vancouver 0.
This car wasn't made in Detroit, or Tokyo, or Mexico City. This, the Mini Clubman, was crafted in Oxford, England, a place where mass production isn't all that massive. And each car is engineered, customized, tuned, and crafted one at a time. Introducing the new Mini Clubman, made in Oxford.
Mini of Portland, proud sponsor of the Portland Thorns and Timbers 2. We make it fun.
There's do-it-yourself health, and then there's times when you need more. Introducing Providence Express Care. Get a same-day visit for the things you just can't treat at home. The sore throat that won't quit, that soccer sprain, the stomach ache that no pink drink can settle. We're here for you 7 days a week with extended hours to suit your life. Want fast care from folks who know health? That's Providence Express Care. Find the location nearest you today at providenceexpresscare.org.
Now order online at papamurphys.com and get 25% off all pizzas. In other words, order online for a 25% price cut. Order online to slice 25% off the cost of your pizzas. Or order online to shred 25% off your Papa Murphy's pizza bill. It's a great deal, any way you slice it. Enter code SAVE25 at checkout and save 25% off all Papa Murphy's pizzas. papamurphys.com. Love at 425 degrees.
The world is a curious place, full of puzzles still waiting to be solved. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island, and today, another enigma rises out of the clouds. Who is the face on the tail?
This car wasn't made in Detroit, or Tokyo, or Mexico City. This, the Mini Clubman, was crafted in Oxford, England, a place where mass production isn't all that massive. And each car is engineered, customized, tuned, and crafted one at a time. Introducing the new Mini Clubman, made in Oxford.
Mini of Portland, proud sponsor of the Portland Thorns and Timbers 2. We make it fun.
There's do-it-yourself health, and then there's times when you need more. Introducing Providence Express Care. Get a same-day visit for the things you just can't treat at home. The sore throat that won't quit, that soccer sprain, the stomach ache that no pink drink can settle. We're here for you 7 days a week with extended hours to suit your life. Want fast care from folks who know health? That's Providence Express Care. Find the location nearest you today at providenceexpresscare.org.
Now order online at papamurphys.com and get 25% off all pizzas. In other words, order online for a 25% price cut. Order online to slice 25% off the cost of your pizzas. Or order online to shred 25% off your Papa Murphy's pizza bill. It's a great deal, any way you slice it. Enter code SAVE25 at checkout and save 25% off all Papa Murphy's pizzas. papamurphys.com. Love at 425 degrees.
The world is a curious place.
Welcome back to Merlot Field on the campus of the University of Portland. At halftime, Portland Timbers 2 and Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2 are scoreless. T2 has a new head coach this season, Andrew Greger, former Portland Timber in the USL days, had a long playing career in MLS and in USL, mostly in USL. Played his college ball right here at the University of Portland as well. And earlier this week, I caught up with him, try to get to know T2's new head man a little bit better. Here with T2 head coach Andrew Greger, your first year in charge of Timbers 2, making the transition from an assistant coach now to being the head coach of T2. What have been the biggest challenges in that transition, and what have you enjoyed the most about this role?
Well, I think what I enjoyed the most was right off the bat getting the job. That was pretty exciting. And then, a little bit of a roller coaster of emotions, with being a little bit, the nerves kick in and then the excitement to get going. And, I think the challenges of this and the things that have been difficult is it's a lot of moving parts, balancing out the academy piece with the first team piece. Our number one job is support the first team in any way we can, but also we need to make sure we integrate the academy as much as we can as well. So there's pieces, moving up, moving down, and then also going the other way with the academy. So that's a challenge daily, but it's also another reason why, I enjoy the job a lot. It's not an easy job, but, it's a lot of fun.
Some Timbers fans may remember you as a player. How would you describe yourself as a coach? What's your personality like as Coach Andrew Greger?
I think it's pretty similar. I think maybe, I'm a little bit older now, so my edges aren't quite, they've been rubbed a little bit. But no, there's still some edge to me, and the expectation's the same. For me as a player, trainings or games, being professional, making sure that commitment is always there, making sure the little things are dialed in, and that's something that I learned from a young age is get the little things taken care of, and constantly trying to teach these guys that how important that stuff is to the big picture. And that's a part of our job, is to develop these guys and teach them how to be pros, everything from on the field to even off the field, and discuss preparation and nutrition and sleep habits and how important rest is, and that's hugely important, and a lot of these guys don't understand that rest is a huge part of being a professional, and so constantly trying to teach them about those little things.
You get to coach your home games on the same pitch you played in college at the University of Portland at Merlo Field. What does that mean to you, and when you go out onto the pitch, do the memories come back of you playing for the Pilots?
Yeah, for sure. I spent a lot of time out there as a player, and then coming back and being a part of the community at UOP, especially during games. And so, once the game gets going, it's just like anything else. It's a game. You're focusing on what's happening on the field. But it is cool to be out there, see some friendly faces. It's always nice to be out in the community out in North Portland.
Finally, as you look big picture at this season, what would make it a success for T2? What are your goals, your expectations, and ultimately, how do you judge success for the 2016 season?
That's a really good question, because it's a balance. It's got to be a balance between development and winning. So as far as goals go, I think, moving guys to the first team, I think is hugely important. Winning would be fantastic, but it's not the be-all, end-all. If we can, kind of merge both those together and win the whole thing and move guys up to the first team, then fantastic. But we have to be realistic that there's some younger players in this group, and, patience is going to be key in that development. And I think, some negative experiences for some of those players, as far as losing games or having poor performances, are going to be big as in the development piece to teach them. You got to teach players how to win, and players have to learn how to lose as well. There's very probably no players in the world that have never lost a game before. So, you got to learn how to manage that on both sides. So, difficult to pick goals here, but I think the major one would be, moving guys up to the first team if we can, and I think that would be a positive thing.
This copyrighted telecast of United Soccer.
Andrew Gregor's first half of being a head coach at Merlo Field for T2 was scoreless. Portland, Vancouver, deadlocked at 0-0. We'll be back with first half highlights and breakdown of the first 45 from Merlo Field.
The world is a curious place, full of puzzles still waiting to be solved. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island, and today, another enigma rises out of the clouds. Who is the face on the tail?
Now order online at papamurphys.com and get 25% off all pizzas. In other words, order online for a 25% price cut. Order online to slice 25% off the cost of your pizzas. Or order online to shred 25% off your Papa Murphy's pizza bill. It's a great deal, any way you slice it. Enter code SAVE25 at checkout and save 25% off all Papa Murphy's pizzas. papamurphys.com. Love at 425 degrees.
This car wasn't made in Detroit, or Tokyo, or Mexico City. This, the Mini Clubman, was crafted in Oxford, England, a place where mass production isn't all that massive. And each car is engineered, customized, tuned, and crafted one at a time. Introducing the new Mini Clubman, made in Oxford.
Mini of Portland, proud sponsor of the Portland Thorns and Timbers too. We make it fun.
There's do-it-yourself health, and then there's times when you need more. Introducing Providence Express Care. Get a same-day visit for the things you just can't treat at home. The sore throat that won't quit, that soccer sprain, the stomach ache that no pink drink can settle. We're here for you 7 days a week with extended hours to suit your life. Want fast care from folks who know health? That's Providence Express Care. Find the location nearest you today at providenceexpresscare.org.
Welcome back to Merlot Field, the 2016 home opener for Portland Timbers 2, scoreless at the half with Vancouver. Whitecaps FC2 will host their USL home opener on Sunday, April 10th at Thunderbird Stadium against Sacramento Republic FC. For more team news and ticket information, visit whitecapsfc2.com. Jake Zivin, Ross Smith back with you. Ross, scoreless at halftime after a flurry of chances in the first 5 minutes. The game really settled down after that.
Yeah, I thought Whitecaps FC2 were the better sides. They came out, they were energized, they took advantage of mistakes by T2, and they almost capitalized. But then, to be fair to the Timbers, I thought they settled in. I thought Gallagher and Manny started to get their positioning. They started to get their line right, their organization in front of them. And from there, with the Timbers going forward, I thought Brett and Polk, they started to cause problems on the outside for the Timbers to continue to do that.
First 5 minutes, Vancouver, as we mentioned, a bevy of chances. Looked like they were going to get the first goal in the 4th minute. An error from Wade Hamilton. Kyle Gregg put the chance wide, but then Hamilton, spectacular after that.
Yeah, that first one, I think it caught him by surprise just how it came off the surface. But from there, that's the strength of character for him making up right away for his mistake earlier on. And then the Timbers, as I mentioned, just from the outside, I thought they were able to affect the game in a good way when they got the balls out to Brett, when it got out to Polk on the other side, and Clutie even joining in. Thought with him, his confidence grew as the first half went on. Defensively, a couple of times just looked a bit nervous, but then he started to get himself into the match. And of course, this youngster, Demerary, that nice little shimmy to get himself away from the defender, and then he looks to get into a scoring area and would want to keep that on frame, but again, it's a good opportunity.
Speaking of a youngster, Alfonso Davies, 15 years old, with a chance for Whitecaps FC2 as well. But no goals in that first half despite plenty of chances. We'll be back for the second half kick from Merlot Field.
The world is a curious place, full of puzzles still waiting to be solved. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island, and today, another enigma rises out of the clouds. Who is the face on the tail?
This car wasn't made in Detroit, or Tokyo, or Mexico City. This, the Mini Clubman, was crafted in Oxford, England. A place where mass production isn't all that massive. And each car is engineered, customized, tuned, and crafted one at a time. Introducing the new Mini Clubman, made in Oxford.
Mini of Portland, proud sponsor of the Portland Thorns and Timbers 2. We make it fun.
There's do-it-yourself health, and then there's times when you need more. Introducing Providence Express Care. Get a same-day visit for the things you just can't treat at home. The sore throat that won't quit, that soccer sprain, the stomach ache that no pink drink can settle. We're here for you 7 days a week with extended hours to suit your life. Want fast care from folks who know health? That's Providence Express Care. Find the location nearest you today at providenceexpresscare.org.
Now order online at papamurphys.com and get 25% off all pizzas. In other words, order online for a 25% price cut. Order online to slice 25% off the cost of your pizzas. Or order online to shred 25% off your Papa Murphy's pizza bill. It's a great deal, any way you slice it. Enter code SAVE25 at checkout and save 25% off all Papa Murphy's pizzas. papamurphys.com. Love at 425 degrees.
Beautiful night in Portland, Oregon for T2's 2016 home opener, scoreless at halftime between Portland Timbers 2 and Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2. As we look at first half stats, it was statistically pretty even. Vancouver with more shots on goal, 4-1. They forced 4 saves out of Wade Hamilton, including a couple spectacular ones. Had the better of the chances, you would say, but they all came within the first 5 minutes of the match. Afterwards, T2 settled down and settled into the match. Jake Ziven, Ross Smith with you as we are moments away from kicking off the second half. Ross, what do you want to see from T2 in the second 45?
I think the quality on the ball has to continue to progress, and players like Lewis and Demraoui getting on that ball. And if it's not on one way, if the Timbers are looking to try and find a way on the right or left side of the defense of the Whitecaps to use Beasler to get out and for him to switch that play and to get it out to Ben Polk or to Nico Brett to get at those fullbacks. I think that's where the Timbers found success, is when that switch of play went out to those far guys, either Polk or Nico Brett, and they were able to run at the fullbacks.
No changes for T2 at halftime. Same can be said for Whitecaps FC2. Same two teams that played in the first half will play in this second half. On the bench for T2 tonight, Trevor Morley, Brent Richards, Seth Kasippli, Terrell Lowe, Carlton Belmar, Kendall McIntosh in goal, and maybe most intriguingly, Victor Arboleda, the 19-year-old Colombian, is available for selection as we are underway in the second half. On the bench for Vancouver tonight, Jackson Farmer, Taryn Campbell, Jordan Haynes, Giuliano Frano, Ben McKendry, Sean Melvin in goal, and Chris Servin. Lewis comes back to win it for T2.
Something so small, but just in that instance there, Lewis, he has the ball and he's 1v1 with his mark in that midfield. I think that ball could go forward for him. He could try and spray it out early to that winger, to Brett on the far side. Instead, it's a sideward pass and you're working around the back. I think that's an opportunity. You've already come from that side. Get out and get a one-on-one with your wingers.
Demraoui wide to Polk. Lewis back to Farfan, keeps possession for T2. Lewis turns. Polk kind of caught between a couple decisions, I think, and gave it away. Alfonso Davies. Now it's Brett Levi's. Still Levi's. Still Brett Levi's. 60-yard diagonal run from the left back. T2 finally stops him. Vancouver maintains possession.
Well, that was one of the players that certainly caught the eye in the first half. More towards the start of the half, he faded as the first half progressed, but his ability to run in and his confidence on the ball, just wonder whether that was a mention at halftime from his manager to say, continue to drive, continue to push down that side.
He's comfortable going forward, normally a winger. Being looked at left back. He played a little bit in the preseason for the Whitecaps' first team in that position. Ben Polk draws a foul in the midfield.
And that was good from Farfan, just stepping in. One good ball in the first half that put it into space for Brett, but the other end of it, its ability for the youngster to want to get forward. Just go back to the Timbers' little inner change play. It was nice from Demraoui.
Chris Clutie, Nico Brett, couple step overs, dangerous cross in, and smothered well by Spencer Ritchie.
It was good from Brett. Clutie was just looking to overlap, but Brett didn't want to consider that. He wanted to go one-on-one with his fullback.
Caden Chung coming forward, too heavy of a touch. 17-year-old Marco Farfan takes it away from another in Caden Chung. Davies taken away by Clutie. Davies tried to get it back, but fouled Chris Clutie.
It's good from Clutie. He's close to Davies, doesn't give him any room to get turned or to get ahead of steam with the ball.
Lewis was looking for Bijev, couldn't quite string it through.
That's a good spot, though. That's positive. He's in that area. He sees Bijev just releasing, trying to pull off the shoulder of the center back. Didn't quite get enough on the ball, but again, that's where you start to stretch that back line when you're looking for those passes.
Greg gets away from Demraoui. Play on. Levi's. Clutie comes over to defend.
Another play I think you want to see more of this half. Davies, the few times that he was selfish, that he did look to do things himself in the first half when he was in one-on-one situations, it looked good. Things came off for him, and youngster, I think that's where a manager, you get in and say you need more of those. It's not good enough just having one or two per half. That you want to be able to take control of the game, to cause all kinds of problems for the defenders.
Alphonso Davies, just 15 years old, was signed in February to Whitecaps FC2. Started the next day for the Vancouver Whitecaps, the first team in a preseason match at Providence Park in the Simple Invitational against the Timbers. Played 62 minutes in that match. The youngest player in USL. Came up in the Whitecaps residency. Member of the Canadian Youth National Team. Civilian Bijev. Ben Polk. Bijev making a diagonal run. Polk instead cuts inside. Demraoui. Nico Brett. Looking for Bijev. Flicked clear by DeVitt.
And that whole play started because of Gallagher at the back. He won a strong header and then a good clearance up. And I just think those two have settled it in. They've got a good foothold of the match, the center backs for T2, Anthony Manning and Gallagher. The way that they've smothered Greg. Greg hasn't had anything to go off of after the first 5 minutes of the game. And Greg, he's just parked himself right in between the two center backs, but he's not finding the ball to feet. Ball's in the air. Those two center backs are coming through to win it.
It was an offside called a moment ago. No one on the field saw that the flag was up, but it was. So correctly called, and Vancouver with a restart instead of a Timbers 2 throw. Lewis to Brett, trying to combine back to Lewis. DeVitt steps in for Vancouver.
He's done a nice job, Lewis, just sitting on the toes of his center backs and picking up the scraps and making something of it.
Lewis, big switch, picks out Ben Polk. Farfan's overlapping.
It was such good play from the Timbers to work it from one area. Nice switch, pass it. That's where you get into the fine details. It was a loose touch, a clumsy touch by Polk, and all of a sudden the opportunity 2v2, it went away.
Davies comes forward with some space. Deflects over to Gardner. Lewis putting in some defensive work and then showing the speed to close down onto that ball.
Did well to play out of that again. Beasley getting on that ball and just spraying it to safety.
Clutie making a run forward. Instead, T2 comes centrally. Demraoui gets it taken away. Greg tries to turn, doesn't have any teammates up there with him, and T2 is able to take it back.
That's so good from the two center backs. That Manning, again, he's tight with Greg up front. As Greg tries to spin away from him, well, there's his partner. That shows that Gallagher, he's connected. He understands what Manning's doing, his position on the pitch, and Gallagher is in there with a strong challenge. There's a nice little pocket in there for Beasler, and the center backs are getting it. Now Gardner, he's aware of that. He's just sat himself in there. Beasler for a few times, he's just found that space that if the Timbers can get it into him. Now Lewis is drifting back into there. Things are starting to happen.
Here is Beasler on the ball. Was looking for Farfan. It took a deflection, and it was easy for Vancouver. Gardner trying to hold off Beasler, gets it to Haber. Now it's Kyle Gregg. Vancouver coming forward with numbers. Seymour in the box. Sliding and blocking it out for a corner was Gallagher.
Good runs, good movement by Vancouver as Gregg, he's just trying to peel off the center backs. But again, credit to Gallagher, just how he stays with his runner. Just as Seymour tries to get away from him, Gallagher, he's waiting for the moment that ball is going to be played in, and that's where he commits and he gets his block there.
Levi's will take this corner. Driven to the back post. It was Gallagher who got it clear, and he runs it down.
That's good from Beasler, just making himself available. Gallagher's first instinct was to lump it long, but when he saw that Bijev had plenty of Whitecaps players around him, see, reading that situation, that it's not in his favor, Bijev to keep a hold of it, and that's where Beasler pops up, and you get this string of possession here.
Patient build up from T2.
It's a lot more assured, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just the purpose in their play, and you can see the confidence that players are moving. They want to get on the ball.
Farfan spun away from Haber. A foul was called. And T2 will make a substitution now. It'll be the debut for Victor Arboleda, who will come into the match for Ben Polk. Victor Arboleda, a player with a very strong pedigree, Colombian Youth International. Came from Deportivo Cali, which is one of the biggest clubs in Colombia, and didn't just come from their youth system. He's 19 years old. He's already played 8 times, or he played 8 times for Deportivo Cali in the Colombian First Division. Scored 2 goals in the Colombian First Division for one of the best teams in that country. Signed in the offseason by T2, a player with loads of potential.
And a player that's been compared with in terms of pace, in terms of ability 1v1 with Fabian Castillo. FC Dallas's player who has set the league alight with some of his dazzling and mazy runs that he goes on. Arboleda, his pace is meant to be comparable.
We see it now as Arboleda puts the pressure on. Arboleda and Bijev combining to force a corner kick.
Say comparable. I've even heard, Jake, that his pace could even be a touch quicker than Fabian Castillo. So if you have that with the control and with the courage to want to dribble at guys in the same manner that Castillo has, you've got yourself a big player.
Big comparison, Fabian Castillo. Bounces in the box. Chris Clutie. Damraoui able to spin. Great control from Dylan Damraoui. Goes down edge of the area. No call. Vancouver will try to break. Beasler breaks it up. Tried to draw a foul. Was unable to.
That's great stuff from both players, both sides of the teams there. Damraoui, just how he spun out of things and his control as he did so. But then Chung, his recovery run to get back in. It was a good, strong challenge by him.
Nick Beasler comes forward, asserts himself to win the ball. Can't connect with Damraoui. Over the top, looking for Thomas Gardner. Gardner trying to get around Gallagher. Gallagher just gets it away.
He had to do well there, Gallagher, because he was in 2 minds whether to step and play the offside, because Anthony Manning went in with the initial run.
Levi's, Gregg, back to Brett Levi's, goes down in the box. Surely it'll be a penalty kick, and it is. For the second straight match, T2 gives up a penalty kick, and Vancouver will go to the spot with a chance to take the lead.
Well, Levi, again, he's coming in and he's just waiting for that ball to be bounced into him. And as he takes that touch, there's a rash challenge by Farfan. He doesn't get the ball, he gets the man, and the referee rightly so points to the spot.
Just 17 years old, Marco Farfan, maybe showing a little bit of his youth there, diving in the box. And Kyle Gregg now will go to the spot with a chance to put Vancouver ahead. Wade Hamilton scored on last week against Swope Park Rangers. And Gregg gets Hamilton to go the wrong way. Vancouver has taken the lead in the 60th minute.
Vancouver goal by number 47, Kyle Gregg, in the 60th minute.
Another look at the PK call.
Again, as Levi just drifts into that area, he's got himself into the box, and it's, I have to say, silly by Farfan. He's flat-footed, he's not on his feet, doesn't react well, and he just puts himself to ground. You have to be so sure if you're going to go to ground that you're getting that ball in the other end. Gregg steps up and calmly sends Hamilton the wrong way to put the Whitecaps ahead.
Second goal of the season for Kyle Gregg in his first year in Vancouver. Last 2 seasons was with Oklahoma City Energy. Scored 16 goals total in OKC. Was kind of second fiddle there, you could say, to Danny Kunick. Oh, a breakdown from T2. A chance for Davies. Hamilton keeping T2 in the game.
Where was the right side of the defense for T2? Massive opening and hole as Davies walked in, but what a save that is from Hamilton. How quick he was out, stayed on his feet, kept himself big, and made an important save as Whitecaps were looking to double their lead so early on. So early after the initial goal, rather. But you have to wonder, where was Clooney? Where was that right side of the defense there? That such a gaping hole that opened up.
Just moments after the penalty kick, moments after Vancouver went up 1-0, almost a second. Third time today, you really have to say that Hamilton has come up huge to deny Vancouver. Levi's from distance, sure-handed from Wade Hamilton.
Well, Levi's, he's showing more this second half than the quick little stints he did in the first half of getting into the attack, of dribbling out of defense. And there, that's good skill by him, using his less preferred foot to get a strong strike on goal.
Farfan gave up a penalty kick moments ago, comes forward to win a throw for T2.
How quick this game has changed, as T2 is a stronger team and have been the stronger team so far in the second half, but the penalty and then that opportunity, so the confidence and the tails are up for the Whitecaps.
And it's a young team from T2 as well. How they respond to giving up a goal, something that still yet to be seen. A couple substitutions coming now. First from Vancouver, you see Carlton Belmar waiting to come on. Vancouver will make their substitution first. Matthew Baldissimo will come out of the match. Giuliano Frano will come on. Frano played for Seattle Sounders 2 last season, moved up in the Cascadia rivalry, moved north to Vancouver. And for T2, a change up top. William Bijev comes off, and last year's Rookie of the Year, a guy who has a lot of fans here at Merlot Field, Carlton Belmar, makes his 2016 home debut.
They can run for days, that man. Got plenty of pace to run in behind.
12 goals last season, led all rookies, 7th in the league in USL. Led T2 in minutes played, was the Rookie of the Year, but William Bijev has started the first 2 matches this season, and that's, I think, viewed as a good thing. In the organization, there's depth, there's competition for Carlton Belmar, for William Bijev, competition that maybe wasn't there last season. Belmar knew his spot was assured. Frano coming forward, T2 breaks it up.
What that says is as a manager to your team, to the players, that if you're playing well, if you're doing well, then it's your spot. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It doesn't matter the name or the CV you have coming in. You have to earn your spot, and you earn that by performing on the training ground, and then when you get the opportunity in matches.
Nike is a proud partner of the USL. Follow at Nike Soccer on Twitter for all the latest Nike Soccer information. We spoke of CVs, Ross. We didn't even get to Villian Bijev's resume, something that I'm sure will be talked about often in this season. Former Liverpool player, was signed to Liverpool, never appeared for the first team. Was with their youth squad after scoring 5 goals in 2 matches as a trialist with the U18s. Got signed immediately, was going to go to the University of Washington before that happened. And now he's here. Ball sent in, another chance for Vancouver. Gallagher blocked it.
Getting a good ball in, but Gallagher staying to his mark.
Brett playing into space for the speedy Carlton Belmar, won't be able to run that down.
Again, Whitecaps, as they go down that left side of the Timbers defense, Gallagher, he's so close to his mark that as that ball's entered in, Gallagher, he follows the run and he gets that block in.
Damraoui, Craig gets away from both Damraoui and Brett, but Daniel Habert is offside.
Damraoui is giving up a few years on age to Greg there, but he'll have to learn. Those are challenges he's going to have to go in for, and to, as he grows, to put some more muscle on that frame to make sure that he can withstand those challenges and win the ball.
Arboleda, nifty touch, trying to combine with Belmar, but it was handled by Vancouver.
Just get the sense you want to see what Arboleda has to offer. If the ball can get out to him in a one-on-one situation, that's what we can do for pace. Instead of flicking it in, to make sure he gets his touch, certify his touch, and then go at his defender.
He's been in the match for about 10 minutes, hasn't really seen much of the ball. Gallagher tracking Greg all the way to midfield. Levi's sent to the back post. Haber brings it down. Daniel Haber on his left foot has made it 2 for Vancouver. Daniel Haber's first in a Whitecaps jersey, and a big task ahead for T2.
Well, he takes it well, Haber. But this ball that comes in, Farfan will feel he should be doing better right there. That's his chance to be closer in on that touch and to force Haber away from goal. Instead, he doesn't get the defensive posture right, doesn't get the angles there, and Haber's able to drift in. And from a few yards out, just strokes it into the back of the net. Nothing Hamilton can do.
Daniel Haber was a prolific goal scorer in college, 18 goals as a junior in 2012 at Cornell, an All-American. Decided to go pro, signed with Maccabi Haifa in Israel, played the past few seasons in Israel and Cyprus before now coming back to North America to play for Whitecaps FC2. He's from Toronto.
Well, he took his goal well, Haber. And for the Timbers, the mentality of it, this is all part of the process here. I think Andrew Gregg will be looking out on his team now to see the characters that he has to start this season, to see who's going to stand up, who is going to continue to look for the ball.
Second straight match to begin the season that they've gone down 2-0. Last week, the second goal came in stoppage time. T2 immediately was able to pull one back. Now, more time, certainly plenty of time to get a couple of goals. But as you mentioned, do they have that in them? It's Haber, again isolated with Farfan. Sends it to the back post, nobody there.
This is where I think you always hear the word courage being thrown out, and courage can be thought of as sticking your head into things, but courage also means situations like this. What players are going to look to continue for T2 to get on that ball and to be brave when things aren't going for them in this last 10 minutes, to see who's going to turn the tide, who's going to be one to get a grip and to make sure that the Timbers they stop this wave from the Whitecaps, and then they start to get on the front foot, try and get a goal back.
Carlton Belmar comes back to collect in the midfield, playing through Victor Arboleda. A chance for the Colombians, saved by Ritchie. That's the best chance of the match for T2, and Spencer Ritchie comes up big for Vancouver.
We get a taste of this blinding pace we've been told about. And as he takes that touch beyond, he does everything right. Just wondering whether a nudge at the last second by Seiler is enough to put Arboleda off. But it's good ball by Belmar. I thought the chance went away as he took an extra touch, but he still managed to thread that ball through, and it was a perfect one for Arboleda to run onto.
Substitution for Vancouver. Ben McKendry is going to come on, and Thomas Gardner will come off. Second substitution for Vancouver. Both teams have used 2 subs, of course, in USL. 5 substitutions allowed. Belmar, or rather Arboleda, has Belmar in the middle. Arboleda tried to find Belmar, wins a corner.
It's good from Arboleda. He'll go back and see that one, though. He should have scored. He should have finished. He should have cut the lead in half.
Nico Brett takes the corner. No one on the end of it for T2. Beasler settles. Gets it wide to Brett. Takes a touch. Brett into the box. Cuts it back. Nobody there.
Such good play from Beasler, and that first touch from Brett. He felt he didn't need that last touch. The runs were being made. He had the defense scrambling by the Whitecaps. Took that last touch, and all of a sudden, the chances and the openings for T2, they got filled.
Well, it's much brighter now from T2 as they try to respond to going down 2 goals. Brett looked like it may have come off the hand of Giuliano Frano. No call. McKendry has it for Vancouver. Belmar. Belmar coming forward with pace. Goes head over heels. Yellow card coming, first of the match. It's shown to Sem DeVitt, and T2 will have a free kick in a dangerous spot in the 73rd minute.
DeVitt has much to argue about here as Belmar, he picks up the ball and he's able to turn, and he's running at that back 4, and DeVitt finally has to come out, and it's a late challenge. He catches Belmar in full stride, which sends him toppling over.
Nico Brett, Andre Lewis, Victor Arboleda standing over the ball. Arboleda concedes to Brett and Lewis. The way Nico Brett's standing, looks like he wants a go. It will be Nico Brett off the crossbar. Spectacular strike from Brett, just missed. And now Haber on the break. It's a 4-on-3 if Vancouver can take advantage. Alfonso Davies back to Daniel Haber. Already has one. And took maybe a little bit too long. Oh, still there possibly for Vancouver. And in the end, it's harmless. Chance missed from the Whitecaps, but T2 getting closer to finding the back of the net.
I thought the defenders for T2 did well to see out that counterattack because numbers were in the Whitecaps' favor. But as they backed off, and Gallagher, he stayed close to Anthony Manning, didn't go running out, and he waited for his chance to release, and when he did, he stayed close to his mark. You go back to that chance. What a thunderous hit this is. As the first run, the decoy comes, and Brett puts his foot right through that center of the ball, and it goes bouncing right off that crossbar. Goalkeeper was beat.
Spectacular effort from Brett. But T2 still scoreless, and Vancouver nursing a 2-0 lead.
Chances certainly at both ends, and to say T2 could quite easily be back into this game with the 2 chances that they've had in the last 5 minutes.
Feels like there's at least another goal left in this game. Daniel Haber, maybe he has it, and he does. A brace for Daniel Haber, and now it's 3 for Vancouver.
Well, T2 will feel so hard done by, with chances at the other end not falling their way. In this position here, I think Anthony Manning has to do better. He sits off and he allows Haber to run at him. And it's a good bit of skill, though, by Haber, as he still has a lot to do. He squares up, he checks to Manning, and then he just shifts that ball to his right peg. But again, Manning, his initial movement was to stand still instead of confronting and coming out to Haber. And then from there, you can't allow that shot to come in.
We didn't have much after the 5th minute as far as really quality chances were concerned, and then once that PK was called for Vancouver, the match has completely opened up. Nico Brett called offside. Vancouver preparing a substitution.
Substitution for T2.
Jordan Haynes will come into the match. And Daniel Haber, a brace tonight, will leave after surely feeling like the hero for Vancouver.
Well, he took his goals well. The initial one, where he's got beyond Farfan, and in that instance taking on the big center back at T2, Anthony Manning. And the strike taking into that far corner, going back to Hamilton. I don't think he can do anything about that, as that ball just slides nicely across that surface. Nestles into the net. This is where I think you become restless at nights, and it keeps you up. If you're Andrew Gregor, you're thinking at 2-0 down, you've had a chance for Arboleda to come in. You have the ball go thundering off the crossbar that would have cut the lead in half, and then all of a sudden, Whitecaps go down the other end, tuck in to make it 3-0.
In the second half, it's certainly been a difference of taking their chances. Vancouver has done that. T2 has been close but unable. Belmar again. Look at the speed from Victor Arboleda. Arboleda in the box, again saved by Ritchie. Arboleda gets it back, goes down, no call. Well, Arboleda has been through on goal twice. He's obviously got to do better finishing-wise, but that pace, as advertised.
Really is. You got to give credit to Ritchie. Both instances, the way he's come out, he's cut down the angle. But Arboleda, that pace is absolutely frightening. He's coming from behind a yard, and he's already 2 yards in front by the time he receives the ball. But he hesitates long enough that Ritchie can just stand up, and he cuts down that angle, and it's a good save by the netminder.
Nico Brett, T2, not content as Brett comes into the box. He had a look at Arboleda. Brett won a corner kick. T2 will have one now in the 79. Brett will take this corner. Looking for Gallagher. Sent clear by Vancouver. Brett, Damraoui combined. Brett goes down, lands with Damraoui. Damraoui! His first goal for T2. Maybe Portland's not done yet. It's 3-1.
Well, he takes his goal well. As he continues his run, Demraoui just flicking it in, but as he follows it in, Whitecaps are wondering when the foul's going to be called, whether the ref played advantage, but it's enough power from Demraoui to take it beyond Richie, who is scrambling across as he sees Demraoui's released on that left side. And you just wonder whether that's a lifeline for the Timbers, whether there's enough time that they can find their way back.
Well, with the way the last 20 minutes have gone, certainly not out of the question that there's 2 more goals in this match in the last 10 minutes. First smoke at Merlot Field of 2016.
Just so good how Demraoui just continued his run, how he followed it through as he was bouncing it off, just looking for anything to come back his way.
Well, you can keep up to date with goals like that and throughout the League of USL all season long by visiting the new USLsoccer.com for everything you need to know about the USL. Last season, these two teams played 4 times. There were 18 goals scored total, an average of 4.5 per match. We've had 4 tonight. Not only that, last season, 13 of those 18 goals were scored in the second half, and we have seen that trend continue with 4 goals after halftime. Demraoui trying to get another. Surely he was brought down, no call.
Well, right away they come back down the throats of the Whitecaps back line, and Whitecaps FC too, they look a little nervy.
Seymour coming forward for Vancouver. A wide open match in this second half. He was trying to find Greg, was unable to. Here comes Arboleda. The speedy Colombian touches it into space, gets around Levi's looking for Belmar, and a throw in for T2. Well, Brett Levi's, I think, is going to have nightmares of Victor Arboleda when he goes to bed tonight.
Well, I think even tried to pull him down.
Lewis looking for Brett. Oh, is it there for T2? Unable to get on the end of it as Richie took out a teammate and is just going to throw it out into touch.
And as his ball comes into Arboleda, just how that pace takes him beyond. And in this instance, you see Whitecaps players just trying to get a hold of him, trying to get the arm off him, but enough is the pace of Arboleda that he's able to get away, and even that stronghold that was attempted on him wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was Ben McKendry, not Brett Levi, so maybe that's another Whitecaps player that will be glad to not see Victor Arboleda anymore.
Number 46, Brett Levi.
Nico Brett. Seiler got there first, sends it forward. McKendry. There was a substitution made. You saw Brett Levi's down. Little housekeeping. Chris Serbin into the match for Brett Levi's. That's the 4th sub for Vancouver. Again, a reminder to those new to USL. 5 substitutions allowed in USL. Nice nutmeg from Nico Brett. He gets it back. Lewis to the feet of Belmar. Touch into space. Nobody was there.
Belmar, he has to secure that ball in, but the other way with Levi's going out. Serbin, he comes in at right back, and Chung, he's gone the far side to left back.
Dylan Demraoui will be shown a straight red card. Went sliding in. Ekaterina Koroleva judged it to be studs up. His night is over. An eventful one, his first goal for T2, and now sent off in the 85th.
It's a strong challenge as Timbers flare. The ball gets away. And it's a clean challenge. The referee has seen from that angle, we're coming in from that, perhaps thinking the studs were up, but I think that is the ball. That is a strong and that is a good challenge. And yeah, it's caught the better of the Whitecaps player. But no way is that a red card. No way is that a booking. No way is that a foul. That is a strong challenge. Now, the Professional Referees Organization have said a strong initiative this year is to watch for studs up challenges. But I think those studs are down. And I think that is clean on the ball, this challenge, that this shouldn't even been called a foul. And just look how that ball goes away. Demraoui, he goes in.
We have seen in MLS this season a strong emphasis on straight red cards for tackles deemed to be studs up. Kyle Beckerman sent off against the Portland Timbers comes to mind. At Providence Park, Timbers fans will be familiar with that. RSL fans didn't like the call. It seems every week there's one or two as Carlton Belmar gives a shove. Every week there's been one or two calls that the opposing team, that the offending team does not like.
Demraoui, as he's just coming in, it looks as though from there that he gets the ball. It looks as though there's a touch.
Kind of came swinging in from the side, but it did look that certainly got the ball first, and the studs, I don't think, made contact with Davies as well. But Demraoui shown red, so he'll miss next week for T2 against Rio Grande Valley, the new USL side for the Houston Dynamo, at least operated by the Houston Dynamo. Kind of a hybrid relationship down in the Rio Grande Valley.
I think going back to that big call by the referee with the red card, just one, there's Davies, the two of them get that touch, and the pathway in which the ball takes, where Davies had a slight touch on it. I still think if, worst case scenario, that Demraoui doesn't get that ball, he's gone in for that challenge, then it's a foul, then it's a booking. But it's never a red card. It's certainly not a red card. But it looked from that angle that he got the slightest of touches to the ball.
Arboleda again. Seiler gets it clear, rather DeVitt gets it clear. Final substitution coming for Vancouver. Taryn Campbell will enter the match for Alphonso Davies. Vancouver will make their season home debut next weekend. Whitecaps FC2 host their USL home opener on Sunday, April 10th at Thunderbird Stadium against Sacramento Republic FC. For more team news and ticket information, you can visit whitecapsfc2.com. T2 next week, as I just mentioned, at home Friday night, April 8th against Rio Grande Valley FC Toros. First ever meeting between those two sides. T2 will be without Dylan Demraoui. Sent off in the 85th minute of this match after scoring a goal to pull one back for T2, make it 3-1.
With the man down, that T2 will continue to press on. Nico Brett and Arboleda there continuing to play high, to press up against the fullbacks of the Whitecaps.
Belmar gives chase, closes ground so quickly. Farfan cuts inside. DeVitt gets it clear. Campbell. Giuliano Frano. Throw-in coming for T2.
I think the referee will be happy to see the 90 minutes come and whatever additional time is put on, as the tempers seem to be there. A few challenges going in.
Vancouver looking for a fourth. Jordan Haynes had his shot blocked. 3 minutes of stoppage time shown by the fourth official. Manning slides in. Seymour has it. Slipping and going down is Haynes. Beasler, long ball ahead looking for Carlton Belmar. I think Belmar thought that was running out of touch. It stayed in play, and it's won by Vancouver. Beasler gets it back in the midfield. Clutie. Lewis. Oh, it's a giveaway. Frano. Greg couldn't get to it. Now Farfan. Taron Campbell, full of energy just into the match. It's out for a T2 throw.
For the Whitecaps, it's all about seeing out this lead now to see how they manage the remaining few minutes here. Keep the Timbers as far away from their goal as possible. But that ball in behind has caused a problem against the Whitecaps. Just with the pace of Arboleda, Brett, Belmar. It's certainly opened things up.
Wasn't there earlier in the match, and obviously with Bijev in there up top, there's maybe less pace than with Belmar, so we're going to try to play a different style. Bijev's going to come back a little further in the midfield to try to get the ball.
It looks as though he's that technical striker. He wants to connect. He wants to drift into that midfield and to combine. Whereas obviously Belmar, he faces the other way. He's looking to run in behind and get in a sprinting match with the center backs.
Yellow card, I believe, was shown to Jordan Haynes. Here is Haynes cutting it back, looking for Campbell. Gallagher did well to collect that and then get it clear. It was Ben McKendry shown the yellow card. And now McKendry coming forward. McKendry a chance to make it 4. Closed down by Gallagher. Tries to get it to Kyle Gregg, and it's sent clear by T2.
Well, McKendry does well, but Nick Beasler, he has to be winning that first challenge. But Gallagher was there to recover, to make sure that McKendry couldn't go towards goal.
In the final minutes of the minimum of 3 minutes of stoppage time. Belmar trying to turn in the midfield is fouled by Giuliano Frano.
He did well to get something out of that. I just thought he's turned into all kinds of Whitecaps players, but such as his pace, he can go beyond, and late challenge coming in.
And that's it. An entertaining second half. 4 goals in all. Vancouver gets the first 3. A late comeback effort from T2. Saw Dylan Damraoui get his first goal for T2. We saw a lot out of that man, Victor Arboleda, as well. But ultimately, the Whitecaps FC 2 start the season with 6 points, all coming on the road. A bright start for Alan Couch and Vancouver Whitecaps FC 2. Meanwhile, on the other side for Andrew Gregor and T2, no points through 2 matches. Obviously, though, I think a lot of positive to take from this match, Ross.
Well, came out the brighter side at the start of the second half and looked good on the ball. They created opportunities, and you have to say Whitecaps, they took advantage of the chances when they came their way. They were more ruthless in that final third, but even at 2-0 down, the Timbers, they had their opportunities. Ball thundering off the crossbar. Arboleda showed plenty of promise with his speed going in behind. He had a couple of chances, so it quite easily could have been different. But again, going back to the Whitecaps, they were the better team in that final third.
Let's look back at the highlights of this match. First half, two best opportunities came within the first 5 minutes, Vancouver forcing a pair of great saves out of Wade Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton, he did well to stay up. His reactions, how quickly he got down and to have a strong arm to make sure that ball doesn't go beyond him.
60th minute, this match really got going, and it started with a PK call drawn by Vancouver and then finished by Kyle Gregg.
Yeah, Farfan, he's just completely wrong-footed. He's flat-footed, gets the timing of his challenge wrong, and Gregg, he steps up and he takes care of things from 12 yards away.
The second came, it was the first of two from Daniel Haber, and at that point the pressure really on T2.
Yeah, and no pressure on the cross that comes in, and no pressure from Farfan to close down. As the goal by Haber is taken well, he just drifts into the center and the goal opens up for him, and he just slots it into the side netting. Nothing Hamilton can do.
This was the closest T2 got before the actual goal, a thundering strike from Brad off the crossbar.
What a belt to it was, and he'll wonder how that ball didn't perhaps come down off that crossbar over the line.
And then the third, and this one really put it out of reach. The brace for Haber, that's the 76th minute, made it 3-0.
He picked up the ball in a good spot, Haber, and he's just trying to get his shot away, find a bit of daylight. Anthony Manning, he allows him to have that space.
T2 pulls one back 3 minutes later, 79th. Dylan Damrowie, his first for T2, a bright spot to make it 3-1. He was then sent off 6 minutes later for a challenge that, Ross, I know that you disagreed with.
Disagree with the red card, certainly. Whether he gets that, it looked as though he got a slight touch on the ball, but even if he doesn't, and Alphonso Davies does get that touch, I think, yeah, then it's a foul. At most, it's a yellow card, never a red card, but it comes down to, did he get that touch on the ball? Regardless, I think it's a poor decision by the referee.
A goal and a red card on his Merlot Field debut for Dylan Damrowie. Eventful, if nothing else. Next home match for T2 is on Friday night when they host the Rio Grande Valley FC Toros. Rio Grande Valley FC Toros, the USL affiliate of the Houston Dynamo, not owned by the Dynamo, but operated by the Dynamo, much in the same way that T2 is by the Timbers, that WFC2 is by the Whitecaps. So we'll be seeing some of the young players, the youth of the Houston Dynamo, the future for the Dynamo, coming to Merlot Field Friday at 7 o'clock. You can get tickets on timbers2.com. You can watch the match timbers2.com as well. For Ross Smith and for everybody here at Merlot Field, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Vancouver Whitecaps FC2 improves to 2-0-0 on the season. Portland Timbers 2 falls to 0-2-0. 3-1 the final. Good night from Portland, Oregon.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.